All right. Let's think about what we just sort of went through in the first 2 hours. We have a wonderful vision for what God has in mind for us to live. Peace in our hearts, joy, feeling the love of others, full of hope, having the courage to share that and bring other people forward. That's a wonderful thing. We've got some parts of our nature that are not helpful, that all of us will have to deal with some of those at some point in our lives, if not some of them now. But we have the direction and the roadmap given us from the Bible to give us a call to action to actually execute. All right, which would normally be the fourth one. It's still lying down over there. We'll get to it eventually. And we put the pieces together. And as I said, changing habits, developing new habits, they're not easy. We're all subject to habits. You know, some people are really good. They walk in the door and that car key always ends up on the front table just to the left of the bowl. And then there are those of us who spend half of every other day looking for our car keys. All right? Anybody in the look for the car key category sometimes? That's right. Wouldn't it be nice if we could create a habit to actually put it back in the same place each time? Yeah. I know it would make my life easier. I'm only 66 years old. You'd think I would have learned it by now. You know, maybe for my 67th birthday, I'll make a goal to actually stop losing my car keys every day in my own house. What?
We have a key basket.
Yeah, the key basket.
Would you prefer to lose them in someone else's house, though?
I luckily you can keep them in your pocket. But either way, so when we look to change those habits, bring in new habits, so we can live with the type of behaviors that is brought to us, that is scripturally set, it's not always easy. As a matter of fact, 95% of everything everybody does is habit-driven. And whether it's the habit of losing your car keys every time you walk in the front door or putting them in the same place, it's a habit. Everything we do is that way. Some of us, all of us will have some habits that are wonderfully good, and some are going to have some that do not help, waste time and the like. Now, as we put that together in our daily actions, as you go more and more into life, and as we discuss the different roles and things you will have in life, you're going to have one time, and that's that there's not actually enough of you to go around in the lives that you're most likely going to progress. I'm going to take a bit of insight from the great philosopher Denzel Washington. Goes right but with Mary Poppins that you liked before. And he, believe it or not, had one of his favorite jobs before he was an actor was he was a garbage collector. I don't know if you've ever seen the YouTube interview, but he said it was both one of the most physically hardest, but the easiest job, the best job he'd ever had. And why was that? Because he'd get on the truck in the morning, and they would drive around dumping all the cans in, and if somebody had a kid's play at school, they'd work really hard to get done by 3. But when he dumped that last can in at 3, his job was done. He was finished. He went home. That was it. There was nothing more for him to do. That was easy. He had a finite end to his day. In the world that you're likely to go into, where you have service within your church community, maybe you have a family where I've got kids to get to soccer and ballet practice, and I have some aging parents and a single aging grandmother, and I'm trying to continue with my study, and I have my small group to take care of, and oh, that's right, I do actually have to break down and pay the bills, and oh yeah, that's income tax. Oh my gosh, look at the date. You're going to find that as time goes and grows and grows, if you don't think about how you're going to keep yourself inspired, keep yourself focused, that maelstrom will slowly grow and kind of consume your life. And so part of what we want to accomplish over the next few days is how to use this great $64,000 word, which will come up multiple times in future days, discernment, to discern how to use your time well, to walk in the light of our Lord, to have those beautiful days, and still get through all the stuff you have to do while trying to maintain not getting sucked into the bad qualities of our character, while living the guidance of the Lord. It seems easy, right? It's only like juggling cats that haven't been declawed, but hey, we're going to do it. So what I am sharing with you is simply a structural format. It's a tool. If I want to build something and get it done, these are really helpful. It'd be really tough to build a bookcase without one of these. Tough to get that nail out of the wall without one of these. It's a tool. And what I'm sharing with you is a tool. There's no particularly universal value in the piece of paper we have. But the way we then think about how we use our time is helpful for getting the things done and matching our goals from earlier in the day. So remember that great little quote I had about vision and work together creates the hope of the world? Well, then let's let each of your days do that. And so I'm going to share with you over about the next 30 minutes a walkthrough of what has been able to get me through my wife's stroke and a bunch of other stuff and pop out the other side stronger. Not weaker, stronger. So the blank format disc here, which is why I gave you all pencils, is you can write down notes, think about your roles. As we go through the next few days, I would expect you to erase and maybe write other stuff. And then go, oh yeah, this really does better to me. And it's blank because I'm going to share with you mine, not because I want you to write mine. Sorry, cut and paste. I'm not going to cut it. All right. Particularly being a good grandfather is probably not going to be one of your goals. Yeah. A bastion of strength to your bride? You probably don't have one yet. Yeah, so some of the things that are important to me. So the way that where's my extra copy? Is of course that is, the vision that I have for my big picture is walk each day in the light of Christ, be his agent to the world, and live life to the fullest as God wishes for all mankind. I am one of God's children. And I would like to live as his children with the joy and the peace that he has offered to us if we have the sense to use it. Who is usually our own worst enemy at feeling the peace of God? Us. We get all caught up in the daily world. Now, for the way, and this is a little bit of a different approach than how you read in most of your books. There is missions and there is goals, and there are two different things. And I differentiate them very much. My mission in life is going to approach the only thing that I really can approach. I can't make you happy. I can't give you a peace of heart. I may help along the way, but only you can take that. Only you can extend your faith, extend your trust to Jesus and feel that warmth. The only thing I really can do is my own personal attitude. How am I going to approach it? Am I going to get angry at the person in the checkout line with 2 full baskets in the 15 and under line I talked about? Or am I going to, in peace, pray for them? That their hearts would be, what type of things have afflicted them so they feel that they should make everybody else wait with one item for half an hour while they go through this. So in my mission, I have them broken, and I broke it down then into an opening, commitment, challenge, reinforcement, and then my conclusion as to how I want to approach every day. And I read this to myself every single day. I shouldn't say every single, probably 6 out of 7. Sometimes I don't. Not necessarily because I don't have it, but if I'm traveling, sometimes I forget to have it with me. I will open each day and see life as a gift, opening my heart to the goodness in people with an uncluttered mind to see and serve others in truth. I give thanks in a prayer of gratitude. I open every single day, just like I did with our group today, with a prayer of thanks, totally separate from this. I want to recognize, look out my window, feel the love around me, and start my day feeling that love and appreciating, being thankful to God and what he has created for us. That is a great way to start the day. I'm thankful for each day and see it as a gift it is. I center myself with integrity, a drive for excellence, serving others, and maintaining humility in the process. That's where I put in my commitments. There are things that I want to be, a man of integrity, and then there are challenges I have. Humility. That was on my first mission statement in 1989, 34 years ago, and it is still on there today. It is a work in progress, and it's better than it used to be. Then I have the commitments that I have of I'll be a supportive man to my family and friends, a guide to my children, a pillar of strength to my wife. Again, a challenge. I forgive, including those with no remorse. I have a real problem forgiving people who do something horrid and then don't have any remorse over it. That's a challenge for me. I should be able to forgive them. I should let it go. I really have a problem. If someone comes to me and says, "Oh, I'm really sorry I did that," I am all set. I'll forgive them tomorrow. They don't even need to be a big, "I'm sorry." But if somebody does something, that's a challenge for me. So I work on that every day. I got asked, how do you go and change a habit when they're hard? You have to remind yourself every single day. Because if you've been doing the same thing for 66 years, more than me in the back, I'll just say more than me, all right? You can't change it. I mean, there are people who say, yeah, I woke up tomorrow and I changed my habit. Well, that's great. Okay, you're the one in a million. For the other 999,000 of us, it's hard to break a habit. So we put it in there. Patient, loving, and strong, and allow the gift of God's wisdom to be heard. I'll live each day in the richness it deserves. Relish the gifts of life to offer. And live life with the fullest that I wish for my children. This was really hard for me. As I think I mentioned to you before, I grew up, my parents were not loving parents. They gave me all the things I needed: phenomenal education, nice house, all that kind of stuff. Love. I think I was the first person who ever said I love you in our family, and I was 35 when I started doing it. And so I never felt I deserved it. I wanted it for my kids, I wanted it for you, I wanted it for you, I wanted it in my church, I wanted it in my family. I never thought I deserved to actually have the full rich wonder. And so what do I have to do? I have to break that mentality. Well, if you've lived with it for 30, 40 years and that's what you're grown up with, you need to put it in there and read it to yourself. I surround myself with other positive, forward-thinking, integrity-centered people who implicitly and explicitly support my mission, and I will support theirs. That's the important reinforcement. There was a wonderful moment. I was at Eden Coffee a couple days ago, and there was a group of you sitting at a table, maybe, I don't know, 8 or 9 of you guys, and I overheard somebody say in the most sincerest of ways, like, you're the best friends I have ever had. And I can't remember which one of you said that. You did? All right. But the sincerity of that, well, the beauty in that is you're there for each other, both in strength, but also when one of you has a challenge, when they're the best friends you have and you can trust them, then you can say, hey, I'm having a hard time with this. How do I think about it? How do I get through this? Man, you got a circle around you ready to take care of you like nobody's business. And that is what you get from surrounding yourself, because you will have things, like I said, you will see things in your workplace, you will see things in your life, and you're going to go, this is awful, how do I approach this? Well, if you got a group of friends like that, you can say, I can't believe it, I'm at work and these people are just stealing stuff left and right and whatever else. I don't know whether I should go to the owner, I don't know. This is awful. This is really getting me up. Well, guess what? You got a group of friends, bounce it off you. Here's the right thing to do. You know, my dad ran a small business. Let me ask him. You get the advice. You will gain the strength when you need it, and you will share the happiness when you get it. And that is a wonderful thing. And when I heard that just rode my boat. And then I think I spotted, I forget whose Bible was open with about 87 tabs on it, and said, you guys got to be from Anchor House. So I went over and kind of introduced myself. But surrounding yourself, and then a challenge to myself, I strive to have a positive touch on someone every single day. So my challenge to myself is every day, spend a moment to listen, care, and help somebody. I was in an IKEA a couple of months ago, and I'm pushing my wife in her wheelchair in IKEA, and we're trying to, anyone been to IKEA? Yep. You ever notice that you put your hand on the cart and it goes that way? The carts never go the direction you're aiming them. Try getting a cart full of bookcases and a wheelchair at the same time. Man, I'm all over the place. So everybody's helping out. So I get at the checkout, and while I'm waiting, the woman there helping me says, oh, I see your care for your wife and all this. We're so helpful. And she starts talking to, my husband would have a stroke. He had a stroke, and I could tell she needed to talk. So I was like, well, tell me whatever. And she just poured it out. About the stress she was under. So I just, right there in the IKEA line, 20, 30 people behind me, took her hands, looked her in the eye, and said, let's pray together. And I did a nice big one of my loud prayers. You've heard them. All right. She gives me the big hug and what a difference it's made. And you just knowing there are people out there are caring the whole bit. And I kind of turn to the group and go, sorry to keep you waiting. And the whole group was like, no, you just take however much time you need. And all, just listened. I made my difference. And I make an effort to do that somewhere, someplace, not necessarily that extreme, every single day. And that's my challenge to myself. Then I follow the path of Jesus that put before us and strive to share in the peace and joy of his presence brings to all who will open their heart to him. And you say, well, that's kind of long. I said, yeah, but I want to start my day right. And it's amazing, if you start your day with a great attitude and sense of I'm on it, your day goes that way. If you set yourself one of those things like, well, I'm going to exercise and do my weights and do all this stuff, and then you start missing them in the morning, then you failed. And that failure will go in your head all day long. There's an Admiral McRaven who gave a whole series of college speeches on, no matter what happens in the morning, make your bed. Because in his world, they said, he's got a great attitude. He's always a good problem solver. He never gets anything down. He always seems to have this great view of the day. He said, well, every day I got up, I made my bed. And then I thought, okay, I got something done today. All right? And that set his tone. And I registered, well, when I give that prayer of thanks and I say to myself this, I can go through this day with that charge, and I can have a flat tire, be late to work, somebody mess up a proposal. I can forget my wallet while I go out to dinner. That's always good. I can mess up. Everything in the world can kind of go wrong that day. And I can end my day going, I was patient with my darling bride. I cared for the people around me. That's the only thing that I can in my world control is how I behave to you. That's it. Nothing else I can. But if I set my mission not as a goal like, well, I want to do this tomorrow. Maybe I can, maybe I can't. I can have a successful day that I can feel good about and put my head on my pillow at night at peace every single day. That is God's plan for us. Now, it may have taken me a lot of years to get here and a whole lot of apologies because I went back over the years and thought, where am I carrying those rocks of regret? I'm down to about 2, and I'm going to have to visit graves because the people are gone. I can't look them in the eye and say, I'm sorry, I didn't spend more time with you or whatever. But I've gone back and unwound the things to when I get to the end of my day, I do not have an unresolved issue. That is what allows me to feel the joy and feel the peace that God has in mind for me. So in the tool that I give to you is the idea that when you set a mission for yourself, you put in there, as we look at the habits and we look at the gifts, the drive to bring your gift forward. And as you spoke about, how do we change those habits that are hard? You put them right there and you get it in your head every day. And there are a couple habits in here that don't exist here anymore because over 34 years I actually did eradicate a few, even if I still lose my car keys. And so in effect, the way we start and the way we get to that joy is on the inside. I said, I can't control you, I can't control you, I can't control you. I can't know that anything I want to accomplish today is going to happen. The only thing that I have any control over is who I choose to be in it. And I choose to be a pillar of strength for my wife. I choose to be there for my children. Now, my children are 39 and 41. It's a little different style. It's been a while since I've changed a diaper. some of my grandchildren. But even then, it's been a while since I've changed a diaper. But I also had to, as I said in here, I had to give myself permission to appreciate the wonderful world we live in, because I didn't think I deserved it. But it's right there. It's right there. We are told it is there to be had if we can actually take it. And so as we go through the next few days, I'm going to encourage each of you to think through what would you open each day with to make your day just simply feel great about today? You know, no offense to the old alarm clocks I grew up with or Rick grew up with. They only had one sound. Or maybe zzz. Well, now you can pick uplifting music. You know, maybe you have the backup alarm 15 minutes later that goes in case you don't get out of bed with the music. But, you know, pick your favorite piece of music. Pick your opening prayer. Do what you like. You guys are laughing in the back. What, do you still have your cell phones going or something?
This guy's alarm goes off so loud every
Boy, I'm glad you got the child-sized water bottle there. But either way, this is a way that you can then literally, as you morph into it, create yourself a path back to what God had in mind for us. Because I'm not making it dependent on your actions. I'm not making it dependent on whether you get something done or something else happens in the world. The only thing I can do is register that joy, that peace, that feeling of love is there for me to be had if I actually am calm enough on the inside to get it. And so that's where we go to control. Now, the next portion in here, when you take the core values, and these are the things then we say, remember my little vestige from the church. And that was when you have that vision, well, you have to have something you value to motivate you to move forward. So these are things that I value. First, the life God gave me, and I honor it. And I registered, believe it or not, when I first wrote this, and this is hard, that was number 4 on the list. And it was only years later I figured out if I didn't take care of myself first, I couldn't do the rest anyways. If I'm going to be strong for my family and children, if I'm going to be good in my church and community, if I'm going to be a leader in my business, then if I'm going to set a standard where people will then, I can make a difference, what's the first thing that's got to be right every day? Me. It took me probably about 15 years to figure out I had to take care of me first. Part of my problem with valuing myself. Despite I'm God's creation, I could rationalize that. I didn't feel it till I told myself about 2,000 times. That was a hard thing to break. Then the family we're blessed with, the community, and then you got to value, the people around in the enterprise, whatever work you get that supports it. That's part of getting through your day. And so in effect, think through, and we'll do some more of this later in the week. What are the things that you value in your life? And this can morph a little bit over time. These obviously change. I used to be a dutiful son to an aging mother. My mom, my last parent, died about 10 years ago. So I'm the front line. So there is no more taking care of parents or grandparents. It's now being there for my wife and my children and my grandchildren. For you would be more, who here still has grandparents? All right, virtually every one of you. Then maybe one of the things you would look to is to think, I have grandparents, I want to be caring and supportive to my aging grandparents. Hopefully they're not I don't know how old they'd be. I have a 14-year-old grandchild, and I think one of you is 17 or 18. Yikes. That would make me the age of the grandparent. Okay, I'm not that old yet. But you understand my point is that your missions would be, those things change. You're wishing to end each day with a peaceful and loving heart so you can have the gifts of God does not change. So whatever gets you going. And then as we go into the next page here where we go for the roles, this is where, for you, what are the roles you have? Okay, well, I have my role is to take care of myself, be sure that I'm good. And then, I have a role as my friend to others. Maybe you have a role in your family. At this point in your life, you don't have a lot of roles, and that's okay. At my point in life, my number of roles is actually shrinking because I'm actually heading back to your part of the world where you have parents and grandparents. I have children and grandchildren, but I'm phasing out of the work life. I'm focusing in on only 1 or 2 charitable operations that I'm going to be active in. I care for my wife. In the middle, you're going to have a lot of these. And this is where we're going to talk later in the week about how you can discern and live with them so it doesn't eat you alive. We're never going to be probably good as the great Denzel Washington who can end his day and do nothing, but if you don't take that 7th day of rest and you put it as part of your daily routine, eventually the stresses of all these different roles you'll have in life and all the different charges you will feel will start to build up inside you. And good, Rick is now sitting back here, so I can pick on him, but I'd love to get your insight that you have met people, and I know people, who didn't put the proper rest, the 7th day, in their efforts, and eventually at somewhere in their 30s or 40s, it got to their heads.
Right, yeah. Some just, they actually kind of go nuts. And, or they collapse, everything collapses in around.
Mm-hmm.
They do the full burnout.
They do the full burnout. They will rationalize behavior that goes right into pride, immorality, anger, bitterness. Those creatures will creep in. And so, good. I got good. Now, I hope you don't mind if I pick on you from time to time.
They all do.
They all do? Okay, good. And so we look at the roles that we have. And as my person, if I look at the top of this page or whatever, and you look and you say, what is my role as a person? Well, I need to grow in my faith. I got asked once about the 2 sides of learning. You learn and you teach. We never stop learning. You never stop exploring. You never stop. Remember those Venn diagrams I had? There's an infinite number of ways to read Scripture, read books about Scripture, read books about how to think about Scripture, that you will go in. It is never ending. You live to 400 years old. You will not get through it. But you will gain wisdom from your life experience through the whole piece of it. As you gain that wisdom, it will make you more powerful in how you then understand how to teach it, which again, that'll be about day 3. I'll give you some really good tools about how to bring people in, which really comes down to just listening and having them trust you, and then your door will open. And you can see I manage my intellectual health, physical health, the purposes I have. I had to add for me, which you might think is silly, I live a blessed life, of winter here, that's not too tough, shoulder seasons in Arizona, and RV in the summer. Go to Montana, go to Cape Cod, wherever we drive off in the thing. All right? I actually had to put on here to remind me, and this is what I needed. You may not need that, you may have a different item. But you put on the things that you need to learn for yourself and reinforce in yourself. And then the last piece, which is, again, what we'll do a little later in the week, when you get down to the bottom of page 2 of 4, or even just look at 3 of 4, you say, well, what does that mean then for my call to action? Okay, I've seen I want to live in the light. I see the roles I have. What do I actually need to do? And that's where we take what we learned from Scripture when we say, well, you will be called for acts of kindness and goodness. And when we think of, as I said, it was 1 Timothy, goes through all through it. And Paul in his letters talks about the different things that you actually need to do in your community. Well, what does that actually mean? As you go through life and the roles change, you will add them, you will drop them, and then there are things you wish to do. And these are my reminders. And I put them in there not to make my day 27 hours long and never have sleep and never get my rest in the day or take my 7th day. But have any of you ever woken up one day and go, man, I haven't talked to my brother in like a month. Oops. I haven't called my sister. When was the last time I checked in with my mom? All of us do that. Every single person in here will have something where you'll kind of go, oh, God, I've been busy. I forgot to do this. The nice thing about this is you don't have to treat it like, oh my gosh, this is not Leviticus. It is not meant to be didactic. It's meant to look and go, oh yeah, I do support my wife's health care. Did I go ahead and make that appointment for her or not? Yeah, I got to get that on my to-do list. Do you go bananas over it? No, but it really helps you not waking up realizing you're 4 months behind on my wife's, because I manage my wife's health care and my own. And I've had cancer twice. My wife's had a stroke and cancer and a bunch of other stuff. So we're really good at healthcare. And luckily my wife her breast cancer was diagnosed here. We were here in January of 21, and we got out of quarantine, and 3 days later she found a lump, and she had the whole thing done here, which was actually fantastic. 5 weeks from discovery to done. I cannot speak enough compared to what I went through, which was 18 months from discovery to done. The stress was pretty intense, so I shielded her from that. But this is where we look through, and I encourage you to just kind of scan through pages 3 and pages 4 with the idea of, okay, these are kind of the things, and these are our reminders. You fill your calendar for them, not because I'm going to, oh my gosh, do everything 100%, but it keeps you intact and you're not waking up. Then how do we wake up and end up having our own stress get in the way of the peace and the joy and the hope God has for us? Wake up and realize, oh my gosh, I forgot that. Oh, that's a real disaster. Now I got to go fix it. Stress, 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 stress. Oh my gosh, I messed up. I disappointed you. I messed it up for you. I didn't deliver for you. These things are good reminders to say when you're kind of looking at your week going, oh yeah, I do have a role at work I have to do this for. I do have a role in my community. As the head of my family, I have these. And it's a really good reminder then to take you through. And again, about 2 days from now, we're going to spend a lot of time on discernment, because that's the $64,000 word that is going to get us from being a pinball in the pinball machine to being able to discern what's important. We get it done. What's kind of important, we kind of get to. And you know what? That's really not that important. And you're okay with that. Because having that rest at the end of the day, having that day of rest at the end of the week, taking the time to educate yourself, taking the time to work on yourself, not just in your life, but work on your life, not in your life, makes the difference. Waking up 20 years being a pinball in the pinball machine. And Rick and I are old enough, we know people who've lived life as the pinball in the pinball machine. And it never ends well, ever. You want to have that strength overseeing it. So now I've kind of walked through this as a model. You've got pencils, you have blank sheets. What do you think? I'm gonna, we got a few more minutes before, I'm gonna run, and I want you guys to meet my wife. Her faith in the Lord and her seeing her trials as a gift. Like I said, bring sunglasses. If she really gets talking about the Lord, she's gonna glow. She's gonna shine. So I hope you guys will hang around long enough. It's only 7 minutes or whatever from here, so I'm gonna run down, grab her, and run her right back up again. But I'd really like you to meet her, particularly when I saw Romans on the back of this, because literally she has taken the challenges she's had and turned them into a pillar of strength, love, joy, like nobody's business. And each challenge she has, her love of the Lord gets stronger as she sees his miracles tend to her. So that's my one footnote. But now back to this. When we think about the stage you were in, if you were to say, okay, what are the things that I would want to open my day with? If you could open my day with this thought, this feeling, that would be my perfect launch off. It doesn't have to be mine. It could be an Amy Grant song. It could be a prayer you really like. It could be a Bible verse that just sings to you. So, somebody wish to share?
Wake up every morning and say, yes, Lord, what do you want me to do today?
Just wake up, open your heart. All right?
Psalm 23, the Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. And just the rest of that chapter, it's a great way to start the day, just to think about God guiding us throughout the time.
All right. Open up your heart, accepting God's guidance. Isn't it a trick question? What's your best way? When you wake up and something goes into your mind and you just feel like, man, this is my day. We want to open up every single day with that feeling of, I'm born, I am alive in the love of the Lord, and I'm going to get to relish it, share it, and radiate it all day long. What would start your day to help you launch that? What springboard would it be? And no offense to his alarm, but maybe that's it. What? For a lot of people, just get up that 15 minutes, half an hour earlier than whatever your day calls for, and have peace with reading Scripture. There are a lot of people who do that. I found that I would miss it. I'd just get distracted, which is why I went to prayer, because I tried that, and when I missed it, then I'd feel bad. And then when I felt bad, that would be the launch of my day. I wasn't disciplined enough to do it. It's all right. That's what brooms are for. Don't worry about it. We'll deal with it later.
Children's song that goes in my head. Good morning, God. This is your day. I am your child. Show me your way.
Awesome. I love that. That's a great lyric. And it sends the right message. I'll bet it sounds fun too. Well, this is it. So what? You chickened out. Okay. Should I go back and pick on somebody else and come back to you later?
Well, it always makes it easier to wake up when one of my roommates comes over and says they love me or like gives me a hug or something.
Yeah, but what better reinforcement of the love God has around us, the caring of others, and what a blessed day you can have than start it with that. This isn't meant to sound regretful, but I would have loved to have had that been my childhood. I found my love from the Lord. And then from that, I learned to give it to my family. And having a kid, I'll tell you, that does it. And again, I'm going to pick on Rick for a second before we go to this. How does unconditional love come clear when you have a child?
Or you can't give them away. So you're stuck with them.
Come on. No, seriously, give.
Well, I mean, I really like little kids. When you have your own, you like them, and you like them, and you love them when they're little rats, and you love them when they're sick, and you love them. I mean, just find yourself going, okay, there's something really weird about this whole relationship now that I never thought I was going to have with another little person. I don't know how to quite articulate it, but just have this remarkable connection. At least most people. There's a few people that do not.
Yeah, I had parents like that. I hope none of you did.
And you know, even if they're just butt ugly, they look cute to you.
Absolutely. No, but I did not understand God's unconditional love and his hope for me till I had a child. I could read it. I could rationalize it. I could have put it on a sticky board. Did I actually internalize it and get it? Not till I had a child of my own. And when I had a child of my own, the world changed. The game changed. And that allowed me to understand what God wanted for me. And then I made it part of my mission to figure out who do I need to be every day to get there. Because it's really a beautiful place to be every single day. And God...
It was a wake-up call for me, like, wait a minute, I'm stuck with this person for 18 years. Because I could go whimsically whenever my wife and I used to run off, and we could do stuff without dragging anything with us. And suddenly, the whole sea changed, you know. And I don't think I certainly knew it academically, but to feel it was really weird.
Yes, it's wonderful. All right. Well, at that moment, I can see, oh my gosh, look at all the things you've written down. Don't be afraid to write on these things as thoughts come to you. The whole idea is we want to fill them in. Whether you use this format or not really doesn't matter. Whether you think of going forward in how do I start my day and lead my day, so at the end of every day, when I put my head on the pillow and when I wake up the next morning, I feel that unconditional love of the Lord. I have that peace in my heart. I know the joy of that surrounds me, and I can radiate it to others as they do to me. That is a great day to live every day. And all culture works really, really, really hard to mess that up. And so if over the next few days we can go through some tools to help get a barrier out for the cultural distractions so you can have that every day, overcome the personality pieces we have, live in the grace, righteousness, with the loyalty, honesty, trust in the behaviors we have, which is number 4, which isn't on the wall yet, then you can have a beautiful day virtually every day of the rest of your life.
What's the difference between vision and mission?
The vision, that was an add-on that I added later. Something very simple, because the mission is very much unique to me and what I need to learn. If I'm going to wake up in the morning and I read that to myself, it's a reminder of who am I going to be today. In the sense of who I want to be to God, it's really simple. I wish to walk each day in the light of the Christ.
Be his agent.
Be his agent to the world and live life to the fullest as God wishes all for mankind. That's a simple vision, very straightforward. And really, it got added later, was part of it is only after I seek, and we got to wrap this up, I got to pick up my wife. I'm going to jump forward about 2 days, rabbit trail number 17 here. Is one of the big habits we're going to talk about is seeking to understand first. And what I discovered is if I walk up to somebody, grab the Bible or whatever and go, hey, I've got a great message for you. I don't know, you want to see a wall go up? Man, I'll tell you, it's whoop, whatever. When you get to know someone, you talk to someone, and you truly listen for them, and they realize you're listening to me, you're loyal to me, you're caring for me, and they extend that personal trust to you, then you get the question, which I get a lot, Emerson, hey, you seem to be so comfortable with these things. How is it you're so comfortable with this? Oh, great question, number 1. Well, I've had the best guidance you can ever have. I have the guidance of the Lord. And then I'll get the look like, yeah, but what you're doing made so much sense. And I said, yeah, because it really makes sense when you read it and apply it. Well, I heard on, MSNBC this. And I said, well, they're out an agenda just to create strife, anger, and disparity. That's not what, don't listen to those guys. Read what it says. Read what it says.
So wouldn't vision be the what and mission be the how?
I break the how into later, but it's semantic. Some people take it, mission has to include something you accomplish. Well, that means I'm dependent on something outside myself. I've chosen to approach how I wake up every day to say the only thing in the day that I can really control is me.
So give me an example of vision. Give an example of what you would put in vision guide.
The one sentence that kind of sums up, and that's an optional thing, but I'd say the one sentence that just sort of drives all sentences.
So would it be something like, this is another children's song. What is the purpose of my life? The purpose is to know God, love Him, enjoy Him, and glorify Him.
Yeah, I might leave the first sentence, the first section out and say my purpose in life is to know Him, love Him, act Him. And you say, okay, this is my overriding piece. And then what am I going to do under that umbrella that I can do every single day? And at the end of that day, feel the joy, know the hope, have a peace of heart. And if I make my day dependent on something you do or something you do, then at the end of the day, I may end up with like, well, I didn't get through my day. Well, I can't control what you do, or you do. I can't control the weather. I can't control a traffic jam. I can't control a flat tire. I can make a proactive decision who I'm going to choose to be going through my day. And that means I can end the day, as I say, with everything goes wrong. You're late for work because the tire's flat and the daycare center messes up, and my assistant doesn't show up in the client's there, and we don't have any papers to sign, and I have no idea where to have them sign anyways, because that's what the assistant does. But if I'm a patient person, caring to the needs of others, addressing what I have to without anger in a thoughtful way, I listen to the situation first before I respond to how to fix it so I can understand it. If I'm a person that then actually behaves the way that the scripture says, it's amazing how well the day works out. It's shockingly how well the day works out, as opposed to getting angry and throwing a fit and yelling at somebody and blaming it on somebody else and blah, 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 blah. You do that, you end the day with a pocket full of rocks. And that's where you have your overriding, and then I have who am I going to be in that in a way that I can deliver every single day. I can't deliver on the other stuff. Those are goals to be had that are dependent upon Rick or Colby or Lauren or somebody else. And it's great, I'm going to aspire to it, but I can't make my sense of fulfillment based on things that are out of that universe. Only my sincere intent and effort and loyalty to it, that I can control. Whether it works out, I can't do that. So if I define myself on that, then I'm setting up to lose. And I will take myself away from God's mission for me. And we've now run 3 minutes over. My wife is going to be in the lobby any second for me to pick her up. So I'm going to be downstairs. I'm going to hope you guys hang around for a little while, because it'll take me about 15 minutes to run to the Weil High, pick her up in the lobby, and come straight back. Yes.
12:15, so that's perfect.
Okay, so I'll get her at 12:15. I encourage you to chat with her, ask her, and don't be afraid to ask her about how she feels about her stroke or how she feels about her blindness or something. A lot of people are like, oh, don't be afraid. She will talk about it. You know, and I think you'll find, particularly when I saw that stuff from Romans on the other side of the board, I think you will see someone who gained strength and faith through adversity in a way that I'm a pretty faithful guy, and she knocks my socks off sometimes with her love and her faith with what she's been through, because it only made her stronger. And then I can chit-chat about this till whenever you guys are bored with me and want to kick me out of here, till tomorrow morning. And thank you, Rick, for that extra hour. We used every minute of it, which was good. All right, that concludes today.